Okay, collective. So this is just a quick reading for the macro. What do we need to know for the macro? And I actually forgot to bring the coins with me, so I threw a quick hexagram online, but I was instructed to read to you from this book, which is the Stephen Karcher book again. And the hexagram for the macro we got was joy, open, expressing, tew, which is like lake upon lake, which is totally appropriate seeing as I came here to the river to do this little sunrise reading, just to keep us ticking along here. So yeah, this is what the sage gave us. What does the macro need to know? This is from the Stephen Karcher book here. I'll just read it for you. Open expressing describes your situation in terms of communication, pleasure, and exchange. The way to deal with it is to express yourself openly and interact with others. Cheer people up and urge them on. Talk, bargain, barter, exchange information. Enjoy yourself and free others from constraint. I think that's notable because the last reading we did was all that stagnation. It was a personal reading, mind you. The personal does tend to interact with the macro anyway, but it was a time of much constraint, stagnation and all that sort of thing. So it seems that little time is slowly beginning to pass because you'll see when we get to the moving line, you did get 9 at the 4th place. So there is still some constraint, but it's loosening a little bit. Things are improving. Anyway, so it's been a stagnant and boring and frustrating and decaying time where, bad ideas have been out in the forefront, let's say, or bad influences. And so there's a need for more joy, more inspiration, more persuasion through soft power, through uplifting people, rather than scaring them or threatening them or anything like that, what we've been seeing going on. Okay, so anyway, it says, this is pleasing to the spirits. So what is pleasing to the spirits is to enjoy yourself and free others from constraint. Now, obviously, there's a lot of people feeling constraint in the world at the moment. So you're pleasing the spirits if you can help. And obviously, this is like freeing good people. Obviously, we don't want destructive elements on the loose, shall we say. But yeah, so if there's someone you can help, then that's a good idea. It says, through this, they will give you success, effective power, and the capacity to bring the situation to maturity. By the way, I'm broadcasting from just near the Sunshine Club on Gumbaynggirr country. And this is the beautiful river. So just let this beautiful, peaceful image transmit to the world because it's a lovely, peaceful image. Not everywhere is so peaceful right now. Also, I didn't feel like showing you my face. My eyes have seen too much and they're a bit worse for wear, having seen what I've been seeing. So yes, I think even myself, I could do with a bit of joy. We all need joy to be able to keep going. There's nothing if there's no joy in life, there's nothing to fight for, there's nothing to live for. So I think, uplifting the spirits, that's probably why it's appropriate right now. It's like everyone's been under a lot of constraint of one sort or another. But then it's, when we get to the 4th line here, we'll see that it's also that it's only a certain amount, because your second hexagram is actually limitations, hexagram 60. So it's like allowing for a certain amount of joy, interaction, inspiration and everything, but not letting things get excessive or out of hand or debauched or anything like that. It's just like joy and interaction and encouragement within limits. Okay, so the key words that go with this first hexagram, which is open, expressing. So we're in a time when people need to express themselves. People have probably got a lot they need to get off their chests. It says open surface, interface, interact, interpenetrate, express, persuade, stir up, urge on, cheer, delight, pleasure, pleasing, enjoy, responsive, free, unhindered, meet, gather, exchange, barter, trade, pour out. The mouth and the words that come from it also: mists, vapour rising from a marsh or a lake, fertilise, enrich. The ideogram portrays a person speaking. So basically it's a good time for negotiation, for trying to inspire people to your way of seeing things. You know, if you've had some constraint just lately, that's passing now. So long as you do this within limits, because the next hexagram is limitations. So there's obviously a need not to go too far in your joyousness. Like, you don't want to fall into the wine celebrating. You don't want to be drunk with enthusiasm, but you want enough enthusiasm to be able to move forward, to feel like there's something worth working towards. Okay, next paragraph says, the hexagram figure shows expression and interaction between people. The mists come together. Find a supportive group. Stay inside it. So you need the support at the moment. You need the support and encouragement of your friends or your family, your kin, whoever that is, your work team, whoever it may be, just somebody who's in alignment with you and your goals, whatever they may be. So you need that supportive group, and you need the protection of the group and the encouragement of the group, and to give that back to the group. So we're moving out of this time of stagnation where you had to avoid all these people. Okay, stay inside it. When you penetrate something, you must rouse it to action. So yeah, it's about getting your things at the ready to act, and taking those first steps. It means being visible and visiting people. Join with friends to discuss and practice things. What is strong and solid is in the center. What is supple and adaptable is outside. Put your ideas to the trial through expressing them and urging people on. That way, you both yield and serve heaven and connect with others for mutual benefit. If you explain things to people before they set to work, they will forget how hard the labour is. If you explain why something is difficult and oppressive, they will even face death willingly. By explaining the central idea, you encourage people at their tasks. So yeah, I guess there's a need for a clarification of what you're doing and why you're doing it, and what the end results you're working towards, your goals are, that reinvigorating of purpose, I guess. Okay, so you get 9 at the 4th place, which says, express yourself through deliberating, bargaining and arguing. You have not yet reached an agreement in this matter. Rigorously guard against anger, hatred and disorder. all the sudden emotional afflictions that would distort your judgment. So I think because there has been so much hatred and anger and distortion around, a bit of joy and love and enthusiasm is need to sort of balance out the perceptions, is what I'm getting. Too much anger, hatred and all of that is distorting some people's picture. So that's why joy needs to be brought back into the equation. I'll just read that again. Rigorously guard, because it seems to be the main thrust of the advice. Rigorously guard against anger, hatred and disorder, all the sudden emotional afflictions that would distort your judgment. This brings rejoicing and reward. Now, who doesn't love a bit of rejoicing and reward? I'm up for that. Direction. So here's your instruction. Articulate your ideas. Take things in. Don't try to dominate the situation, and provide what is needed. So that's your central instruction. It's only like 4 sentences. I'll read it again. So this is for everyone in the macro. Articulate your ideas. Take things in. Don't try to dominate the situation, and provide what is needed. So that's the crux of the advice. All right, now having taken this advice, or keeping this, the second part of the advice is, so in this book it actually calls it articulating, in hexagram 60. In the other books I normally read, it calls it limitations, but that's interesting that the first sentence in your direction was to articulate your ideas. So maybe there's, a lack of definition or a lack of understanding for some people. Like, they still need to be explained a bit more what this is, why you're doing what you're doing, or what you're hoping to achieve, or what's to be gained from the situation. Hello, seagulls. A bunch of seagulls just arrived. Okay, so articulate your ideas, and then the next part of your next hexagram in this particular book is called articulating. So articulating is very important right now. If you're in some negotiations, you might want to get some help with this. If you're not brilliant at articulating yourself, or just even if you are, just work on it a bit more, just refining these ideas and getting the exact right words. I guess it's also to do with outward expression. I'm just looking at the word right now, and the word articulating has at the front of it art. So I'm sort of getting, because the last word, the last hexagram was all about joyousness, open, expressing joy, inspiration and all of that. So I'm thinking, like, to articulate things artfully, like there's a real art in persuasion, and that's what needs to be employed now. I'm feeling for diplomats and people wanting to make a case for one situation or another, to do it as artfully as possible. I wonder what like, I'm just looking at the word articulating. I don't know, cull. I think cull, articulating, that would be like, I'm just guessing here because I'm not an expert at etymology, but so there's art and then there's cull. So it's like cutting away what's not directly important. Like, I think, that's right, because the first thing I was getting this morning as I was waking up was about how to reveal the truth, you actually strip away the lies. And just now it's coming into my head about, like, sculptors, when they make a beautiful art piece, they're actually cutting away stuff, and they're revealing something underneath. It's rather than adding to something, it's actually stripping away what's not needed or what's not a part of what's not essential. So just that's this little download I'm getting about, and to find the truth of the situation, you have to strip away the lies. To see things clearly, you have to take off all the false lenses, all the filters, let's say. So maybe the artful negotiation involves subtracting what is not fully true or what is not fully necessary or what's not adding to the situation. Articulating, because there's culling and art. So I think there's a bit of an artfulness in taking what's not needed to reveal the true situation, or cutting away the lies to reveal the truth of the situation. All right, so let's go. Articulating describes your situation in terms of the relations between things. The way to deal with it is to articulate and make the connections clear. Express your thoughts. Separate and distinguish things. Yes, that's what I was getting. It's like separating the wheat from the chaff, separating the true from the untrue, separating the block of clay from the sculpture, taking away what's not needed. Yeah, that works well, because limitations is, articulate your thoughts, set limits, give things rhythm and form. So this is all about taking away what's not needed. So where were we? The way to deal with it is to articulate and make the connections clear. Express your thoughts, separate and distinguish things. Make chapters, sections, units of time. Okay. So making chapters, sections, units of time, breaking things up into manageable portions is what I'm getting. Or, just separating them, this from that. Like the useful from the unuseful. Separating the whites from the, it only takes one red item to make your whole wash pink if the dye's leaking. So there's something about that for somebody. Not as an analogy. You need to, one little bit of untruth is going to stain your whole presentation. So make sure if you're trying to make an argument, there's not some little bit of untruth in there, because it weakens your whole argument if there's untruth in your argument. I'm just hearing that for someone. Like one red item in the wash will turn all your whites pink. So be very clear about what is and what isn't a part of your project or your idea or your truth, your negotiation, whatever it is, what you are wanting and what you're not wanting. Because, that small thing that you don't want can colour the whole day, colour your whole outcome. So, I'll go back to where we were in this text. Make chapters, sections, units of time. Create a whole in which each thing has its place. This is pleasing to the spirits. So there's a need for definition and distinction. That's what I'm getting. Through it, they will give you success, effective power, and the capacity to bring the situation to maturity. But don't harm yourself or others. So yes, as you're cutting away things, you have to be very careful not to harm anyone in doing this. So that's very important. as you're cutting all these things away and making distinctions and separations, that nobody gets harmed by this. Rules that are bitter and harsh will prevent you from putting your ideas to the trial. So there's a need for some compassion right now in order to succeed. Maybe not compassion, I'm not sure if that's the right word. What's the opposite of bitter and harsh? So there's a need for some sweetness and negotiability, maybe. I'm just trying to work off opposites here. What's the opposite of bitter and harsh? So rules that are bitter and harsh will prevent you from putting your ideas to the trial. It's going to work against you if you're too mean or tough in as you're distinguishing and separating things. You've got to do this in a gentle and getting a beneficial way. When you separate, distinguish, and make these chapters, units of times, groups of, because I'm getting groups of people in my mind, even though it doesn't say that. You need to make these distinctions in a way that hurts no one, and that's part of the key to success here. Okay, so we've got key words now. Articulate, qian, separate, distinguish, and join things. Express ideas in speech, joint, section, chapter, interval, unit of time, rhythm, the months of the year, limits, regulations, ceremonies, rituals, annual feasts. Oh yes, we're quite close to the solstice. It's winter solstice, I think, where I am, and summer solstice on the other hemisphere. So yes, so there would be some rituals, annual feasts, and ceremonies, and making a measurement of this time that we're in the middle of the summer for some, or in the middle of the winter. So we're at the turning point, actually. That's one thing to know about solstice. You're at a turning point where we're starting to move towards the opposite. Sorry, I'll go back to the key words. Just getting up information as I'm reading. So measure, ceremonies, rituals, annual feasts, measure, economize, moderate, temper, firm, loyal, true, degrees, levels, classes. The ideogram portrays the nodes or joints on a stalk of bamboo. Oh, that's funny for me because I'm working on a bamboo project at the moment. All right, just have a sip of my water. Oh, can you hear the magpie? Do it again. No. The hexagram figure shows expression articulating the stream of events. So I'm just getting a narrator. I just heard a narrator then. So somebody needs to narrate what's happening too. Above the mist is the stream. Take the situation in and provide what is needed. So yeah, that I think also ties into lessening constraints, which was in the previous hexagram. There's a lot of neediness around, so whatever you can do to relieve that is going to be beneficial without going overboard, you know. So if you can donate or just assist in any way somebody, it doesn't have to be financially, it could be energy, good vibes, practical things, time. But whatever you can do to relieve others' constraints without hurting yourself is a good time to do that now. You know, just to help others, basically. If you can help others without taking too much skin off your own nose, then it's a good time to do that. The hexagram figure shows expression articulating the stream of events. Above the mist is the stream. Take the situation in and provide what is needed. Things can't simply spread out. They must be articulated. Articulating means holding things in. Cut things to size and calculate the measures. Think about what realizing the Tao means before taking action. Oh, so I'm just getting that classic expression that carpenters use. Measure twice and cut once, or, seamstresses or whatever. I'm just getting that's for someone in the collective who's listening to this, to measure twice and cut once. So articulating means holding things in. Cut things to size and calculate the measures. So it's a time to do up a budget too for the next little part of the journey, perhaps. Think about what realizing the Tao means before taking action. Articulating is pleasing to the spirits. Through it, they will give you success, effective power, and the capacity to bring the situation to maturity. Apportion the supple and the solid. Apportion. That's an old word, isn't it? We don't use that word very often anymore. Apportion the supple and the solid. That's an unusual sentence. Apportion the supple and the solid. I guess making a distinction between what's solid and what is flexible. Deciding what can be flexible and what has to be set in stone, I guess. Keep the strong at the center. And here we have the same warning again. Harsh limits will prevent you from putting your ideas to the trial. So you need limits, but they've got to be gentle limits. Your Tao will be exhausted if you set harsh limits. Express things, take action, take risks. This is the right time to articulate your situation. Correct excess. Stay in the center and communicate with others. Heaven and earth articulate and the 4 seasons accomplish their aims. Oh yes, see, that's another kind of articulation, that seasons are distinct from each other. So, the elements of spring don't sit with the elements of winter. So in your life, there needs to be a bit of that too. Recognizing the season that you're in, what is beginning and what is ending, and apportion things accordingly. What belongs in the ending basket, or what is passing, and what belongs in the what is opening up basket, maybe. So yes, we're distinguishing things. This is all about making distinctions, but not making them in a harsh or hurtful way. Yes, so I'm getting nuance. I'm just getting the word here, nuance, for negotiators and diplomats and negotiators. Nuances that help paint people in a better light are going to help, for both sides, I think, or all sides in negotiations, that you need to use these nuances and articulate and distinguish things very carefully and in a way that doesn't bring harsh restrictions and bitterness. Because being able to bring some joy, restrained joy, and lessening constraints on other people is actually going to help you in some way. I think it's about building people up rather than stripping them down in this situation. Like, there are times for everything, and there is a time for stripping away. There's a time for avoiding people and holding your resources in tight and all of this. And this is suggesting it's not a time to be too harsh or bitter or unforgiving. Not to say you let people get away with terrible things, but maybe the way in which you describe the situation can do a lot to reframe it so that it works for all parties involved. All right, there's only a few more sentences left. I'll just read them and we'll wrap it up. So back to where we were. Correct excess. Stay in the center and communicate with others. Heaven and earth articulate, and the 4 seasons accomplish their aims. So yeah, we're just in a different season. We have reached solstice, and the next season is opening up now. So, we distinguish that from the previous season. Now we're in the next stage, which is a moving forward articulating stage. By using articulating to shape the measures and times, property will not be injured and the people will not be harmed. Okay, so that was the last sentence. I'll just read the keywords for the second hexagram again. Keywords: articulate your thoughts, set limits, give things rhythm and form. And the keywords for the previous hexagram, which is where we started, were express yourself, join with others, persuade, inspire, enjoy. So there's work to be done with others, and it needs to be done gently. We need to make distinctions and articulations, but they need to be done in a way that has a lot of nuance and doesn't hurt others and cause harshness and bitterness. I'll leave it there, my dear friends. Whoever clicked on this video, thank you for your time. Thank you for being interested in our collective evolution and the Tao. Hopefully we can work towards a better world. Yep, I think we are. I think there's a lot of things coming to light. A lot of, like Michelangelo, all the untruths are being stripped away, and what is being revealed is very arty, very articulate once you strip away the untruths, the things that aren't important, the things that aren't needed for the next stage of the journey. Yeah. Yeah, we're stripping away what's not needed to articulate what is. All the best, my dear friends. Enjoy your beautiful evening or morning. Enjoy the next season that we are in. Happy solstice. All the best and many more to come. Many happy solstices to come, my friends.